What's up, guys? Jake Lowry here, and today we are up extremely early because we are going to be fishing a golf course with my favorite early springtime bait that I think is going to absolutely slay. Now, I'm very excited about fishing at this spot because the last time I was here, I hooked into an absolutely giant bass on a red lipless crankbait. I'm not going to use a lipless crankbait today, but I'm going to use something very, very similar. Now, it is pretty dark. I'm going to wait a couple more minutes for that light to come up. But while we're doing that, why don't we take a look at the bait we're going to be testing out and hopefully using today, because I've never used it before. All right, guys, the lure that we're going to be testing out is the Z-man Jackhammer in the red color. This thing is an absurd price for a chatterbait. This thing is like $16 for a lure that is pretty much a jig with a blade on it. Absolutely crazy. Now, I think the reason that this lure is so expensive is because it comes with very high quality components. So what it says on the back of the package is that's pretty much better in every single facet compared to a standard chatterbait. So that's what we're going to be testing out today. And I'm also very excited about the trailer that we purchased for this lure because I think it's going to pair almost perfectly with the colors to make it look like a perfect red chatterbait. So the trailer we selected today is the Crush City Freeloader. This is in a red color. This thing looks like the absolute perfect chatterbait trailer. To go along with this jackhammer, we're talking a very expensive rig that I think is going to be absolutely unbelievable today. So now, before this light comes up too much, we got to get rigged up. We got to take a look at these lures, and hopefully we can catch a big fish this early in the morning. All right, guys, we have made it out to the pond. I'm actually very curious and stoked to test out this jackhammer. I've heard like really good things about it, and I've heard that it is one of the best lures that you could test out for bass fishing lures. Now, we are out at this golf course pond. It is still kind of low light conditions, so it usually doesn't pick up until the light picks up around here, but I think the vibration of this jackhammer is really gonna help us out. So I'm gonna take just a couple casts and make my way down to the deeper end of this pond, and then there's a second pond today that I wanna fish. So let's start off with the short cast and see what this jackhammer is like. Okay, I get the hype, guys, compared to a regular chatterbait. This thing, oh my gosh, on the first cast. This pond is loaded with fish, guys, but I mean, how can you beat that? $15 lure? If I'm catching fish on the first cast, I mean, that is truly worth it, guys. Wow. On the jackhammer lure, I mean, how can you beat that? I'm telling you guys as well, red is just such an ultimate killer color for this time of year. In the early springtime, like, those bass just cannot help themselves but attack red. And I have a feeling that it's gonna be just one of those mornings that I cannot get fish off of my line, man. That just makes me so excited, especially the fact that we're catching fish on a chatterbait. There are some workers around here, but last time I was here, they seemed to have not cared as long as I was out of here by the first tee time. So we're probably gonna stick with that rule today, and hopefully they don't bother us and we end up catching a absolute boatload of bass this morning. Wow. And the thing about it is it's just consistent, right? Yeah, the tolerances are just a little higher, so it's way more consistent in its action, right? You reel it super slow, it has good action. You reel it really fast, it has good action. And it's important for this time of year because the strategy I use with a chatterbait is that I want to reel this thing in as slow as I possibly can to keep it vibrating. And what that does is it picks off those fish that might be a little sluggish. Cast it out in the middle. So what that does is it picks off those fish that might be a little sluggish, and allows me to fish like a almost slow moving bait, but it's actually a moving bait. You know, if that makes sense. It's more fun to fish than throwing a jig and just dragging it super slow in the wintertime. This makes it feel like I'm throwing like a crankbait or something. There's a lot of turtle activity over here, which generally where you find turtles, you don't find bass. Come on. Yep, there he is. Fish number two. Fish number two on the jackhammer. Nice little guy. This guy is pale. These fish are getting active, guys. We are like fishing in the spring and they are biting. There we go. And there he is, guys. That is a nice little bass, man. Whew. Does that feel good? That was kind of a bad release, but I'm kind of surprised. It's low-key kind of slow. We usually by now have a couple more fish landed at this spot. So maybe that other bank is the right answer. Maybe it's a little deeper there, but also, you know, maybe it's just not good conditions yet. Maybe that water is just not quite there. We did have a ton of snow here, like not too long ago, a couple weeks. So fishing can be kind of weird this time of year. First cast is a strange thing to have happen, and then kind of no bites really after that. Right at that culvert. Such a good cast, guys. All right. So this little tiny pond is probably the most absurd pond in North America. It has just hundreds of fish in it. And now that I say that, I probably won't catch anything out of it, but you would not believe the size of fish that are in this thing too. And I just don't get how much, there's so much forage and food in this just little tiny thing. You can already see stuff hitting the surface. Oh man. Right by that sign is usually where the good fishing starts. Ooh, muck. Yep, oh, bite. 100% a bite. See if it comes back. Come on. Yep, oh. Maybe I'm reeling it a little too slow. I was like, giant. My drag slipped. It's a giant. And then just a big stick. Come on. Whoa. Whoa, that was such a crazy eat. I'm telling you guys, these fish in this pond, they're so aggressive. This pond is literally like no other pond in North America. I know it's not a giant, but the way that fish ate it, man, the flash that he did and the follow on this thing, I mean, look at that. These chatterbaits, man, they came out like 10 years ago, but whoever invented these is just a genius. These are some of the best lures you could even throw. And the fact that they made them better than they already were with the jackhammer. Still might be a little too early. Whoa! What the? Did you guys see that? Oh my gosh. For this little tiny pond. That was a nice fish. Came out of nowhere. I was about to say it might be a little too early in the year to be throwing this big a lure, but doesn't seem to be. I was just thinking there might be something that might be a little more ideal than throwing this, but I don't know. It's pretty hard to justify. The fishing is just knocking on being unreal. It's just, we're just almost there. Couple more weeks of this warm weather and we're in the full spring swing. Whoa! Maybe I can get on a little bit of that action. I should be throwing a frog. Come on. Stand over here. Whoa! This is crazy. Topwater chatterbait. They're so aggressive. Maybe at the end of this pipe. Pipes usually house fish. This pipe goes way, way under. Straight down that thing. Let it sink. All right, guys, that is going to wrap up the video. Unfortunately, the fishing kind of got bad. I'm not really sure exactly what happened. I think when the light came up, the lure wasn't as effective as it was when it was dark outside. Probably because red is a very, very unnatural color. But anyways, we had a pretty successful morning. We caught 3 fish in about an hour, and it's just time to get out of here because there was a lot of golfers around. That said, guys, the jackhammer was actually surprisingly good and probably worth the money. I'm definitely going to be using it and probably adding it to my tackle repertoire and purchasing it in the future. So if you guys like the jackhammer, let me know in the comments below, because I think it is a solid choice for a lot of different types of bass fishing applications. But anyways, guys, that's my favorite lure now to use early in the springtime, especially in that red color. So anyways, guys, if you like that video, make sure that you like the video and then also subscribe if you haven't, and I will catch you guys next time.